The culture is actually damn good.
We're not urinating on fire.
You can stop asking that question. I'm going to be calling the defense.
What I talked to Russell about is none of your business.
Both games.
Motown smells concoctions not experienced in quite a while for them. The aromas of playoffs waft into rage. The Lions played with fire to end the year, and the time has come to act. Blood is in the air, and talent must be poached at a premium. David Montgomery is a quality running back. It should be a nice upgrade to complement DeAndre Swift. The secondary suffered a lot of public headaches early last year. But with Cameron Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley, and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson brought in at rich sums, shipping off the fallen Jeff Okudah for scraps, that might be how you fix it if they fit the scheme. Alex Anzalone and John Kaminsky are back in the fold, but what about long-lost Graham Glasgow? He's back home and away. He's more for depth nowadays than anything, but he's home. Detroit is interested in getting back to respectability, and they're damn close to it. Just let everyone else fall apart while they stake a claim. It's a strange world when the Lions have legitimate hope. Not in the how did this poverty franchise get good way, but the holy shit it actually happened way. There have been countless times where it was extremely easy to write off the Lions just because of their namesake. No matter the talent on their roster, they'd find an incredible way to fuck it all up. That or the refs would fuck them in the ultimate fetish. This year, all signs should point to finally breaking through that impenetrable ceiling. Talent at nearly every position. Jared Goff returning to 2018 form, one of the best offensive lines in the game. However, you just can't escape the gnawing of their past reputation no matter what. Jamison Williams should be a game changer. Should be, because he's only changing the game by trying to gamble on them in other leagues. I like what the Lions are doing, and I hope they can finally make it back. If only so I can stop relying on stale crutches with them. First off, I believe there's a repeat winner in the NFC East. Philly takes it thanks to their offense. Sorry, Dallas. The NFC North, I'm going to kill myself in the future for it, but I'm picking Detroit. I think the Lions do it this year. Think that's crazy? I have Atlanta winning the NFC South. The only other serious contender here is New Orleans, and I don't trust them to stay healthy. NFC West, all things considered, is Seattle's to lose. This could change if Bosa plays and Purdy stays healthy, so I have them in a wildcard spot. The other two slots go to Dallas and Minnesota. As I said though, the final spots are anyone's guess. And that's the majesty of the game itself. Enough talk. Let's get to the football. The back-to-back title push will commence in the deafening confines of Arrowhead, as Chris Jones lounges in a suite desiring more payment. And Travis Kelce's out with a hyperextended knee. Who gives a shit, we all say? They have Mahomes! Detroit's tough and Dan Campbell has cojones the size of cantaloupe, but there'll be no catches tonight. The Chiefs took that literally. Kadarius Toney was such ass that he single-handedly thrust the Lions right into the damn game. Throwing a guy who hasn't practiced in weeks into the fire, what a great idea. Kansas City has what we call the Week 1 rust. Detroit was the better team here, let's not deny that, but that's mainly because the Chiefs kept cutting their own legs off. Doesn't matter though, Kansas City is the final drive and they're only down by 1. Mahomes is just gonna bullshit out another victory like he usually does.
Plenty of time, looking in the middle, dropped again!
Tony, you've had more drops than your fucking rap album tonight. Giants fans are celebrating your failure like it's another Super Bowl. The Chiefs jumped out like Jawan Taylor pre-snap and they're forced to go for it on a 4th and 25. And failed that because Sky Moore also can't catch. To think Kelce was more missed than Jones. Patented self-destruction and Detroit has legitimate hope. God, I love football. The last time Seattle played at Ford Field, it was a showcase where both offenses dazzled with the pass and the run. This time around, roughly the same thing happened. A team eager for a bounce back against a team eager to prove themselves as legit contenders. Well, maybe if they all stop fucking around with the ball. The first half was less a competition and more a comedy of errors and miscues. Detroit does enough to have the lead at half, but then proceed to lather the ball with rich oils to start the third quarter. Seattle responds with a touchdown. The salvo has been fired. The time for play is over. The errors will cease. Both offenses will get to work with the precision that they flashed last year. Crisis constantly averted with drive after drive. Unless you're Detroit, then you're forced to turn the ball over on downs. The Seahawks swoop in on that mistake and take the lead. Jared Goff is the guy to lead a counter. Until a pick six. He was going for that interceptionless streak too. We all jinxed it. Now down by 10, the old Lions would have bent over and died. But this is a Dan Campbell unit. Nope. They'll grind whatever energy they have left and will themselves back into the match. The defense will harden up and hold, and the offense will do just enough to get into field goal range and tie it back up. Overtime is the reward. This is where all the fun ends. Seattle gets ball first and slowly picks them apart on their drive. And then the dagger.
Smith to throw. Pressure from Hutchinson. Runs away. Great throw. Lockett down in for the end zone. It's over. The Seahawks win it.
Pretty rough loss, huh? Oh, silly you. There's plenty more pain to go around. They missed a holding call on the final play, on top of a few other questionable calls throughout the game. Zebras fucking Lions is a long-cherished fetish of the NFL. Just wish they'd be less open about it. The Arthur Smith experience is an aggravating one to fantasy football owners everywhere. And honestly is for Falcons fans in general. Against Detroit, Atlanta will be as miscast and underwhelming as Bijan is in this damn offense. A Lions unit that was minced and diced all over this field last week fixed up the leaks. They would suffocate anything that resembled a Falcon attack. Desmond Ridder wants to do something? Good, here are the anti-air guns to shoot it down. Detroit's defense gains redemption after being cast into the fires of hell. That unit and an offense that does enough to give cushion help to lead the Lions to a needed win. With victory, they keep up with an old foe that has constantly tormented them. You know which one I'm talking about. Detroit, just keep doing what you need to do. The chance to keep them under your heel shall arise again soon enough. Detroit's been waiting a long time for this. Fun fact, this interception was the most yardage the Packers would gain for a while. The Lions had special plans for arrogant older brother to the west. It involved beating the ever-loving shit out of them with the running game and their defense. Green Bay obeyed Highlander rules. There can be only 1 yard of offense in the first quarter. I'd make some lame drinking joke, but the average Wisconsinite has an ABV of around 0.2 in any given time. It's second nature. Just like Detroit suddenly owning the Packers in games they play with them. The Motor City all but ran over Lambeau both on the field and in the stands. Yes, Green Bay would try to come back, but like Quay Walker, being an idiot failure is inevitable. Meet the new masters of the NFC North. Dan Campbell's 4th straight win over the Packers. A new beast is emerging in Detroit, and it's one of superiority. When you're a top prospect in the NFL, you're usually stuck in shitty situations. Bryce Young went from roughly the NCAA All-Star team to the football equivalent of Major League. We need to have some serious conversations about the Panthers. How has Ike Ekwonu and the O-line regressed this badly? How has Frank Reich gone from a quality coach to a washed-up bum in 2 seasons? Is David Tepper meddling in team affairs that much? And why is Carolina not getting any credit for being one of the biggest shit shows in the league? Charlotte's a hub for transplants. And apparently any talent that players have flies out the first chance it gets. Their defense is solid, but if they're out on the field for long stretches of time, of course Detroit's going to eventually break them. The Lions are for real. And they were in the same boat as you for a long time, Carolina. I'd start by wondering how to avoid handing Caleb Williams to Chicago with the first you're giving them. Easy win for the Lions. Well done. Tampa Bay's brought back the creamsicle uniforms this week. What that also means is that they will also play like those awful Bucs teams as well. I kid, this had a lot more to do with Detroit's utter crushing of whatever was Tampa's spirit. Dan Campbell went out onto the field and put every single member of the Bucs offense in the camel clutch. He would break their backs and force them to submit to his might. Jared Goff in the passing attack humming like a bird against a unit that was simply bested on most drives. Sorry, Tampa, it's nice of you to show up and fight, but you'll need a lot more than that to beat a group like the Lions. The simulation is broken. The long mock to Detroit squads are vanishing into thin air. The Lions are 5-1 and have a shot at the number 1 seed in the NFC. They're not just winning games, they're convincingly winning. And that goes a long way. All you can do is keep it up. And keep feeding Dan Campbell. His hunger is insatiable. Before you say anything, I don't hate the Baltimore Ravens. I'm brutal as hell on them, and for very good reason, but hatred isn't it. They just frustrate me with their massive inconsistency on offense. They'll suddenly forget how to play football against the Colts and Steelers of the world, yet ram the Lions repeatedly like a Ford Pinto. Detroit didn't even have gas in the tank today. Even then, they still combusted on first impact. Lamar just walked on them like they were a bug underneath his foot. A squash match where the Motor City rusted away like an abandoned factory. Problem is, I'm not even happy for the Ravens for playing up to their potential. I'm livid at them. Yes, Baltimore, do this more often, would you please? I'm tired of you being a different team on offense nearly every week. I know what you're capable of against the best. Embrace your greatness. The near-weekly humiliations of the Raiders have led to turmoil in the locker room. An open room meeting was held to air out frustrations, and most of them should be pointed right at McDaniels. Fortunately, they get alleged relief in the form of Jimmy Jesus. He has risen on the 3rd week of injury. Yet he is a Pharisee, a false prophet of terrible football. There will be no salvation for the Raiders, thanks to the pathetic excuse of what they call an offense over there. I personally don't know how any team can win without Devontae, Jacoby Myers, or Michael Mayer catching the ball in the first half. Take notes from Detroit. My goodness, utilizing the talents of Jahmyr Gibbs when he's the hot hand? Holy shit, who knew that a team could be capable of such a breakout performance? Jahmyr's got a bright future here, but the score does this no justice. Detroit made a shitload of fuck-ups. They struggled early in the red zone, kept fumbling the ball away in key spots, and Goff inexplicably threw a pick 6. In reality, the Lions should have won this game by 40. There was no contest whatsoever. And Max Crosby can be 95% of the Raiders' defense, it still won't be close to enough. Not when Jimmy G keeps airmailing wide-open receivers, and certainly not when Devontae is absolutely livid at how things have turned out. He came here for Derek Carr, and now he's parked in hell. How do you fix this shit pile? Well, it's not Josh Jacobs' job to do. Feel for the players, but not for the team. You wanted to clone the Patriots and hire mixed snake oil? This is what you sow. Do you all remember that Seahawks-Lions game from last year? The NFL simply Control-C, then Control-V that match and edited a few details. Apparently, it's optional to have this thing called defense in this match. This will be an offensive showcase for both units, a flexing of power both behind center and at the skill positions. Every once in a while, the offenses will fuck up, but this is for gunslinging and evading a few moving pylons every now and again. Detroit's defense might be incredibly concerning thanks to Justin Herbert picking them apart, but Liquid LA's defense is somehow even worse than theirs in every conceivable way. Alex Grinch tried to steal defense from USC and got fired from it, and the Chargers honored his attempt by allowing their lifeless bodies to be run over all game. In this onslaught, the Lions offense grew 3 sizes on this day, and everything not San Diego threw at them, Detroit countered in kind. The Chargers might find it hard to win if they keep giving up over 500 yards of it in a game. No matter what Herbert and company do, their defense keeps running itself over. We might be tied at 38 after endless 4th down conversions, but the Chargers defense, surprise, surprise, is fucking terrible. Dan Campbell is so confident in how shit it is, he'll go for it on 4th down late in the 4th. And he'll convert it. Because once again, the Chargers.
To 7-2.
Derwin James is right in the middle.
From 41 yards, the kick is good!
Like clockwork. Every day that Brandon Staley is still the Chargers coach, a shred of Justin Herbert's sanity withers into nothing. How can you win with a defense this shit? It's physically impossible. Detroit played ugly on the defensive end, but escaped because their opponent is just like LA. Vapid and fake. Was wrong, they honestly fit in nicely. Chicago's last shred of hope is returning for one last gasp at relevance.
Unit ready.
Justin Fields is back from his thumb injury. While the season is all but lost, the Bears can figure out what to do for next year in games like this. Or will Detroit simply become the Edsel and disappoint us all? The Lions realize that the auto strike is ended, right? There's no need for the team to hypothetically go on strike against Chicago. Jared Goff is somehow morphed back into 2019 form, and I have no idea how the fuck it happened. It takes a special kind of bad to make the Bears look competent, and the Lions are turning it into a reality. They're doing the classic play down to competition trope at Ford Field with a 4-turnover day. It's a rare sight for Detroit these days, but there's always a time for a throwback. And the unbelievable is happening. Ooh, the Bears are up by 12 with 4 minutes left. An upset is within their grasp. They're a bad team, but there's no way they choke this away, right? They choked. Of course. Bears fans talked all that shit in the preseason about this team. Detroit didn't even show up until the final 3 minutes and still managed to bullshit out a win. Lions fans, it was ugly, but you can wake up. Incompetence can be escaped. And the reward is being 8-2 for the first time since JFK was president. I wouldn't recommend making this a trend. Against most other teams, Detroit loses by 20. Learn how to tackle someone in the open field, and maybe then I'll stop wondering if I have doubts about you or not. The Lions losing on Thanksgiving is an evergreen tradition. They've been winless in the sports ball era, and it continued on. Detroit, infested with holiday cheer, paid it forward with the spirit of giving. Green Bay's injured to all hell and their defense has been maligned, but why not give Vanilla Joe Barry a solid performance from his unit? Jared Goff looking as sloppy as he did days earlier, and the Lions asleep in the den again. Live by the cojones and die by them as well. A goose egg on 4th down all game. Even on fake punts at their own 23. Bad news, boys, you aren't playing Chicago. With the Swiss cheese on display, Aaron Glenn should only be at one location, and it's The Hague. His defense is guilty of war crimes. With how dominant they made Jordan Love look all game, all they needed was a Hail Mary, and it was as if Aaron Rodgers never left. Do I have to whip out the F-slur for the Lions? You know what? I'm gonna do it. They're looking like frauds right now. Their only win against a group over 500 was a Chiefs team that couldn't catch syphilis in a dark alley. The way they're running, they're more than earning another loss in the wildcard round. You handed Green Bay a shred of legitimate hope on a silver platter. Did you really have to give that grease fire of a fan base oxygen? New Orleans is truly in hell. The organization spent the offseason deluding themselves into the idea that all they needed was a quarterback. Their terrible team coaching and the aging injury-prone roster didn't matter because Derek Carr was going to save them. So Saints, is going down 21-0 about 7 minutes into the game worth keeping your heads in the sand? At this point, the game was all but over. The voodoo magic to try and avenge the great fucking of 2018 has been fruitless. Repeatedly jamming their dicks into a blender is doing nothing to get them out of it. The most agonizing part wasn't this, though. It was in their potential comeback in the second half. New Orleans managed to get it within one score because Detroit and defense are two incompatible terms. Hell, it gets better as the Saints defense buckled down and flashed the talent that made them division favorites before the year. Then, like most opportunities, they fumbled it. New Orleans is now making Carr the whipping boy as Jameson Williams speeds down the sideline for a seamless TD. Redemption for Carr? Not with this laundry list of injuries. The dude is an entire hospital ward of ailments, and famous Jameis will have to carry the load. He would lead New Orleans to a touchdown, but like most things involving Saints, there'd be a scandal involved and several of them would be excommunicated. Offensive stagnation and desecration with a turnover on downs, Detroit drives the dagger with their offense. Another winnable game thrown into the abyss of infinite nightmares. Unlike the Lions, it doesn't bounce back. As I said, New Orleans is truly in hell. I have to ask, Detroit, are you okay? Is there something you need to get off your chest? Do we need to hug it out? With how strong they looked in early November, you'd believe that they have the chance to make serious noise. Yet recently, the Lions haven't only revealed their weaknesses, they're flashing them like a pervert on the street. Their defense is trash, only existing to give confidence to their opponents. No need to contain Justin Fields or DJ Moore, just let them go ham. And Jared Goff? Back to garbage 2021 form for him. But these are the Bears. Detroit's up by 3 at halftime with possession in the second half. This should be easy for them to win. How do I explain this? Now, in this time frame, these felines didn't just falter at the gate, they flat out self-destructed. No discipline, no structure, no ability besides sloppiness and poor execution. They're priming themselves for a vintage January wildcard loss, and their division isn't even guaranteed anymore. What is guaranteed is Chicago's ease. After weeks of ineptitude, they're finally showing progress. And Carolina's endless suckage will grant them Caleb Williams if they want it. Justin Fields is extremely inconsistent, but this is a QB-hungry league. The Bears can get a decent return for him in the offseason. It'll hurt, but it's for the best. Detroit have been playing like absolute shit. Needing extra motivation to scare the men, Dan Campbell's bringing out the real gambits. If they keep failing, he will personally eat their firstborn children. Don't doubt him, he has a taste for blood. This thirst was more than enough to jolt the Lions back into their previous form. Scared for their lives, Detroit revved up the engines and dominated in all facets of the game. Denver was a team that was gunning for a playoff push and eager to make a statement of their own, but they became roadkill. This day belongs to the Motor City, and boy did they counter with a message of their own. For 60 minutes, the Lions sent Vance Joseph's defense back to September. Their real form has returned, and anyone who wants to move past them will have to fight for their very lives. At Ford Field, there was only massacre. Denver was annihilated in a game that may end up costing them a playoff berth of their own. That tends to happen when you can't stop Jahmyr Gibbs. He'll slit your throat and sprint to glory before you die. It's the playoff shuffle for you. The smell of blood is in the air. Detroit has been dying for this moment for a long time. Yet Minnesota's in a must-win situation. With Nick Mullins at the helm, it's a magic grab bag and most of the time it punches you in the face. Missed interceptions resulting in crazy touchdowns are the key to his game. The Lions may be gifting the Vikings a chance to upend them, but Mr. Mullins, he's just too kind. He's Brett Favre with a conscience. This time he's giving back to the poor instead of stealing from them. Really awful interceptions aplenty, allowing Detroit to jump out to a convincing 10-point lead. But don't fret, because Nick Mullins is a grab bag. Sometimes you get some really amazing drives out of it. It's the epitome of frustration, yet the Vikings do have a 4-point advantage. Did I mention this is a back-and-forth affair? Detroit tends to rev up their engines and roar back with several dominating drives, an average of 7 minutes long apiece, dicing a Flores unit reeling and fatigued, unable to be stopped even with the most valiant of attempts. It's now a 9-point game. The Vikings do manage to drive down the length of the field, but in the red zone, well, it's Nick Mullins. What did you expect? It's only a field goal and you'll accept that. Now time is winding down, and the Lions can bury their opponent, but are unable to truly seal the deal. This might be the season for Minnesota, and they have to drive with precision under any means necessary. Two factors at play. Aaron Glenn's defense is porous as hell, and Mullins has backyard magic on his side. The bullshit might indeed be real. Redemption drive incoming.
From the 30 on first down. Mullins steps up. He throws. It is picked off. Melifonwu with the exclamation point.
What the actual hell was that? It wasn't even a fucking shock. That was simply a duck that stopped quacking the moment it left the nest. Remember when I said that you can always do worse than Kirk Cousins? I lied. It's a hell of a lot worse. Especially with Nick Mullins costing you games like this. But their loss is Detroit's celebration. This win solidifies an NFC North title for the Lions, their first in the NFC North. The last time they won a division was in the Clinton administration. First term. Over 30 years of ineptitude finally brought to rest. Good work, Detroit. You'll get your chance to avenge ancestors past soon enough. A crucial matchup for both teams. So why not make it into one of the sloppiest, more poorly executed contests in the last few days? Nothing screams two of the best teams in the NFC like what should be a safety averted by awful tackling and broken coverage, leading to 6 for Dallas in a play so fucked it loops all the way back to normal. Why score points when you can simply get yardage in between the fives? CD fumbling the ball into the end zone for a touchback will do the rest. If you think this rule's a problem, you can suck my dick. The real problem is Detroit's over-aggression. Get all the way down the field and then botch a 4th and short near the goal line. Because why take the fucking points? Then begin a ping-pong contest of trading the lead with a combination of long drives, deep shots, and failed red zone opportunities. Detroit has a slight advantage, but it'd be awfully nice if the Lions defense could stop a slant or fade route. Not happening though. The Cowboys take the lead. Cue a struggle contest of attrition where you wonder what each team is doing as the defense is clamped down. And as Jared Goff becomes the most turnover-happy QB in the league for some reason. Performance art? Maybe it's the Zebras. Is this tripping on Dallas? A perfect excuse for the Cowboys to happen. McCarthyism fell when he tried to go after the military. Mike McCarthy just doesn't know how to fucking count. This brain-dead moron is giving the Lions life by adding 40 seconds to the clock. Of course, cue a long, near-seamless drive by Detroit because every defense decides to get passive for what I can best describe as gamesmanship. With this soft-serve zone play, Amon-Ra shines like the sun and scores a touchdown. They know what they have to do. Finish them off.
Play action. End zone. There it is! Unbelievable! The 2-point try is good!
Fuck you. Seriously, fuck you. We have been robbed of fat guy 2-point conversion and I want heads. Taylor Decker reported as eligible. What the fuck is he talking to the ref about otherwise? Playing backgammon? How do you screw up the eligible lineman that badly? This kind of shit only fuels the allegations of rigging. So the obvious solution now is to go for 2 again?
And now a flag on Parsons. This one's picked, but Parsons came across.
They got so lucky on that offsides. So now there's another chance. But Dan Campbell keeps bashing his head into a wall.
Goff gets rid of it. Incomplete. the Cowboys maintain their lead.
I'm fucking done. I'm more pissed that we've been robbed of fat guy conversion, but fuck it. This game was bullshit and nothing's going to be done about it because Dan Campbell's as much of an idiot as McCarthy is. Another successfully ruined football game. Well done, NFL. You got more manufactured tension. God, this league is such a fucking joke, man. Final gasp for the Vikings on life support. And out of a grab bag of shit, they have no choice but to pick Nick Mullins for survival. Between him, a rookie, and a pastronaut that burned up on re-entry, there's nothing left. That's the best way to describe the Vikings. They just have nothing else to fight with. Everything's gone. Their magic, their bullshit one-score victories, most of their talent, vaporized like years of Minnesota dreams. The potential final game for Justin Jefferson as a Viking if things go south. The tears refilling the land of 10,000 lakes for eternity. In one of those lakes, they may find a way to beat Detroit, because they can't do so here. The Lions are fighting for playoff positioning. Plus taking out a division rival? Minnesota's defense is spent, why wouldn't they finish them off? It may have cost them Sam Laporta to injury, but he did get the record for most receptions by a rookie tight end. Concerns about his health aside, they're just getting the engines ready for next week. Minnesota isn't even given the dignity of a Viking funeral. They're simply sent to die with their cousins in exile. The curse is over. The Detroit Lions are no longer irrelevant. Years of turmoil circled by Fords and black ATVs have cleared out to a feast of kneecaps and intestines alike. Fortitude and resilience in spades. Countered by times where you wonder if they have enough to do anything at all. Jared Goff is a solid quarterback until he isn't. And then he becomes a turnover machine under an onslaught of defensive pressure. But he can still sling the rock to Amon-Ra, Jameson, and Sam Laporta. Gloriously injured Sam Laporta. If there's a chance to do anything, this is a good year to do it. Dan Campbell will force it to happen, even if it goes against all form of logic and reason. Only if that defense was a concern. By God, they are a sponge. Porous and malleable, especially when wet. Get them on a bad day, they're giving up 30 points minimum. There are times where the Lions reek of a first-round exit. And if that happens again, it's gonna sting. They're simply happy to get back, but they'll die alive in the process. And it'll probably be in the mantra of Dan himself. Fuck it, keep going for it on 4th down. No exceptions. Dan Campbell. What a man. A master motivator of men and dragging the Detroit Lions to relevance, kicking and screaming. For 3 years, the fruits of his labor are coming to market. The Motor City Kitties have emerged as one of the elite teams in the NFL. And the rewards are glorious. Their first playoff win since George H.W. Bush was in office. And their second one, too. A dream season that Detroit has been dying to see for generations. Hope springing anew. Best of all, doing what Green Bay couldn't. Dominate San Francisco. The paper tiger is ripe for the kill. And the Lions have a 17-point lead at halftime on the road. Oh, glorious sight. Dan will guide us to gut-busting laughter, right? Right, Dan? Beginneth Dan Campbell. Detroit is up by 14 and a 4th and 2 is incoming. You are Coach Campbell. Do you A, take the points with the Money Badger to go up by 3 scores? Or B, balls fucking deep in the ball? Have you looked at his past games? Did you seriously expect him to pick A? Oh, it failed. Well, as long as it doesn't lead to an unbelievable self-destruction that utterly humiliates everyone linked to the organization, all should be good. Oh, it did. Deus Ex Machina strikes again. The whole team just went limp. Every single fuck-up imaginable is being committed. And you can argue Dan Campbell's decision opened the floodgates. That impenetrable lead was ripped away by a team suddenly given life. And Detroit's in panic mode. Down by 3, same situation as the moment that shifted momentum? You dare want a field goal? He'll fucking do it again! And he'll fail just as hard. There are 2 sides to every coin. Live by the over-aggression, die by it as well. Of course he isn't gonna regret his decisions. That would mean neutering the power of the alpha dog. That's the magic of Dan Campbell. He'll get the car running 100 down the road, but he'll also drive it off the ledge to your death. A very fiery one that has everyone and their mother bitching at them for failure. I speak on behalf of the NFL world. Detroit, we love you, but fuck you. Kezar Stadium got its revenge. It waited almost 70 years, but Detroit will finally suffer under the might of its demolished rubble. A chance at the Super Bowl quashed under their own hubris. I don't know how the fuck they did it, but they turned a dream season into unimaginable brutality. The most impressive thing I've seen in a long time. Oh, don't worry, the Lions will be back, you say. Should we tell them that it's harder to make it back there? Just ask your NFC North brethren how that goes. A golden opportunity chewed off at the kneecaps. Oh, Detroit, why did you squander such a glorious chance? The Lions were on the brink of bringing us bountiful memes. San Francisco was dead to rights. They had no answers for the Lions' running game. Up 17 at halftime, yet like most players with the football in the second half, they just let it slip away. The only catalyst needed was the thing that got them there. Dan Campbell's over-aggression. You live by that sword, it'll be the first thing to kill you. That failure to convert opened the floodgates. Deus Ex Machina landing in the 49ers' lap as everything vanishes in the blink of an eye. Execution, skill, and logic. A complete self-destruction. And all they did was triple down on it. Detroit's down by 3 in the 4th and field goal range? Well, fail it again. It's the razor-thin line of life. If things work out, you're a genius. If not, you have egg on your face. One of the greatest seasons in Detroit's history turns into unspeakable pain. And it's amazing to witness. I do have one question to ask though. Why did the Lions abandon their running game in the second half?